Hey folks, today I would like to highlight to owners and chief executives what an amazing job you all did through the pandemic. Why do I say that? Because managing change before COVID was very different than managing change during COVID. So in this session today, the first thing I'm going to do is highlight those changes for you, how COVID changed managing change. And secondly, I'm going to share with you how those changes have positively or negatively impacted your culture, something you need to get on top of. And thirdly, I'm going to give you something to take home. I'm going to give you my top 5 things that chief executives and owners need to know about transformation. How did COVID change managing change? Well, firstly, let's look at what it was like before COVID. Before COVID, when we were doing managing change and we were looking at setting up, designing and rolling out a change program to support a business to move up on its growth curve, what we used to do at the beginning of that was build a business case, put together an argument, present it to the sponsors, either the board or investors or owners. Then once we got their okay and approval, we would have to develop a program of communicating to the business what we were going to do, and the why we were going to do it was the very big thing. Why is it important to have this change? Once we got the why, then we'd talk about the what and the how. These things took several months, sometimes years, to complete before organisations could get underway on performing their transformational change. That was before COVID. During COVID, not much of that happened. In fact, possibly none of that happened because it all happened too fast. And usually in the before COVID example, we have to spend a very long time explaining the why to the staff and employees and shareholders and customers, and also getting their buy-in, and then overcoming their objections, and then upskilling everybody to do the change that we wanted them to do. When COVID hit, early 2000s, none of that occurred. It happened so quickly that we all got into action almost instantaneously. Within a couple of days or weeks, we had people changing the way that they work overnight. And the most important lesson from all of this is that the 6 months, 12 months, 18 months of building up a change program to drive a transformation through a business did not occur. What happened instead was people got the why straight away. They understood that there was a pandemic. They understood that they had to follow the instruction to stay home, turn on their computer, download some new software, find some new ways of communicating. And the why was well understood really quickly. So people got into the what really quickly, and then they got into the how really quickly and started making those changes. So the lesson and the take home from this is that CEOs and owners and entrepreneurs of businesses have already had the experience of managing a change, leading a change, and doing it quickly without all that preparation. So the question to you, of course, is there now some institutional muscle that has come from that experience? Can you expect that to happen again? Will your people get into action again on some other change that you ask them to put in place without the usual business case, sign off, selling, buy-in, communication, and all those things that used to take 6, 12 or 18 months at the start of a transformation? I've asked a lot of people this question on my Thrive 2030 Chief Executive Conversations series. I asked many of them, do you think that people will learn from this experience and get into action more quickly in the future? And there's been mixed reactions in terms of the answers. Some CEOs have said, yes, I hope that we have built institutional muscle, and I do believe that we can do it again. At the other end of the spectrum are some leaders who have said, I'm not sure. I would hope so, but I'm not sure, because human behaviour is that we quite often revert back into our old ways as soon as the pressure comes off. We revert to our habits, and habits can take a long time to change. Next, I'd like to talk with you about how the pandemic environment reduced the three big challenges that we normally face when we are designing change and leading transformation. The first of those big challenges is removing resistance. Humans are hardwired to resist change. They like to stay in their comfort zone. They have habits for a reason. They like the way things get done and they want it to be routine and regular, most of us. However, in a bell-shaped curve, there is the leading party, the pioneers in the organisation. The front 15% will go with you. If you, as the CEO and owner, have a good vision, your business case is sound, your board and investors buy into it, then this front 15% goes, okay, I'm going to step up, I'm a leader, I'm a manager in the organisation, I'm going to come with you. The next group, the bulk of the organisation, if they see the leadership is on a journey, they see the leadership is behind you, the next group, the middle part of the bell-shaped curve, they will go with you. They will follow the leaders. The last group, the laggards, they're the ones who resist and hold back. What happened in COVID was all three groups had to make the change at the same time. There was no time to see whether the leaders were going to buy into the program. There was no time for the laggards to say, oh, I don't understand it, so I'm not coming on the journey. All three groups moved together. Of course there were some hiccups, of course there was some pain, but the fact is that all three groups, the leaders, the masses and the laggards, all went on the journey together. So the thing that we normally face when we're leading change, which is the biggest challenge, is resistance, just didn't occur. The second big challenge that we get when we are putting out a transformation is getting the buy-in to the why. We understood the why because it made sense. We understood the why because it was global. We understood the why because we could see immediately how getting the virus was going to impact us and our families. So the resistance is down, the question of why was gone. And the third thing that we generally have to focus in on at the beginning of a transformation and all the way through that journey is creating psychological safety. As humans, we don't like to try new things in case we're going to fall over. We don't like to give something a go unless we know that we're capable of doing it. So we want to know what we have to do, and we want to know how we have to do it. And we look for training and tools and systems and support to do it before we give it a go. However, in the pandemic environment, that need for safety, that need for training and systems and tools, the psychological safety, again, was diminished by this situation. It was urgent, and we had to put trust in our leaders, and we had to put trust in ourselves. So the need for the organisation to provide psychological safety before we were prepared to move, before we were prepared to act, before we were prepared to follow the guidance of our leaders, it just kind of disappeared. And we all of a sudden thought, this is scary, it is new, it's massive change, but we're going to trust that our leaders will get us through it, and we're going to trust ourselves to make that personal adjustment. So those three big challenges that we normally face when driving change were just eliminated. The big question going forward, of course, is will that behaviour become institutionalised? Is it going to be part of your DNA going forward? Will your people step up quickly, without resistance, without badgering you every day about the why, without worrying about how it's going to impact them personally, and without needing the psychological safety that they normally need as human beings before they will change? Will they do what they did in early 2020 and come on the journey without all that resistance and questioning and need psychological safety? Will they trust you and themselves to make the change quickly like they did in the beginning of 2020? Let's hope. The next thing I want to touch on is how have these changes that you have had to face over the last few years impacted on your culture? Have you thought about that? Because if you haven't, it's probably time that you did, and I'll tell you why. Every major change in an organization, as fundamental as the changes that we've made through 2020, 21, 22 and beyond, those major changes, the big pivots, the working from home, the hybrid working, the digitization of absolutely everything, the need to adapt your supply chains to skirt around the blockages around the world, the need to find new ways to reach out to stakeholders around the world, customers, suppliers, employees, people that you were once able to visit, you're now having to do virtually. All of those major changes shift the underlying assumptions of the way that we do business. If you shift an underlying assumption at the base of the culture, you then have to shift the values, the beliefs, the attitudes and the behaviors that follow behind it. This is called the cultural iceberg, and it has these layers, and at the bottom is the assumptions, which is the foundations of the culture, and at the top is the behaviors, the piece that you can see. As you go down through the layers, it gets harder and harder and harder to see those layers because they become less visible. So the one thing you need to ask yourself as the chief executive or owner of your business is, how did all the changes that you made throughout the 2020s, that you've made so many changes and pivots to adjust to the many things going on in the world, and those changes do fundamentally shift your culture. Assumptions, because they drive behaviors, when we shift an assumption, it then shifts behavior. So if you have made such fundamental changes throughout the last few years that have impacted on the beliefs and the behaviors of your people, you know that your assumptions have shifted too. And if they haven't, there'll be a disconnect. So you need to dig deep, ask questions about the assumptions, see how they may have shifted throughout this period, and ask yourself, what are my current assumptions, beliefs and values and behaviors? Because those are the things that are going to drive performance. Those are the things that are going to help you to survive and adapt and still be around in 2030. So before you go, as I promised at the start, I'm going to give you a copy, which is a checklist of the 5 key things that chief executives and owners must know about transformations. If you're in the middle of a transformation or about to start a transformation, you are the owner, you are the lead agent, the lead change agent here. So there are 5 key things that you must know, which are critical to your success, absolutely critical. So click the link and make sure that you're meeting those 5 requirements to ensure that your transformation is a success. You don't want this thing to unravel a few years down the track. It's too disruptive, too costly, and there's a lot at stake. You want your transformation to be a success. You want to achieve your outcomes, and you want to be in a totally different place in 2, 3, 4 years from now. And to do that, you have to make sure that you understand these 5 top things that CEOs and owners must know about transformations, because those 5 things are key to your success. They will help you to discover challenges that will get in the way. So hit the button below or above or somewhere around this video and take a look, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope it gives you some great ideas. Click the button to subscribe so you can come back again next week and hear my updates each week about the things that CEOs and owners can do to improve their growth strategy, to improve their transformation, and to align their culture to make sure they deliver their results. And also, before you go, if you've got a question that you'd like me to answer in one of my videos, put it in the comment section below and I'll see what I can do. I hope this has been really helpful. It's been lovely seeing you again today. Take care. See you soon.